Hello and welcome. In the baby set today we are going to learn this socks. This fits a baby of 1 to 1.5 years. So this is how it looks from the top, like this. This is the side. Okay, so as this is a multicolored wool, I have not kept any design on this. If you are using a plain wool, you can make design whichever you like. And to make the socks, I have used number 8 knitting needles, multicolored yarn. This is Oswal multicolor. You will also need a needle and scissor. So let's start making the baby socks. To knit the socks, I have casted on 31 stitches on my knitting needle and I am using number 8 needle. So for the row 1, it is to knit all the stitches. Knit all the 31 stitches that you have casted on. Going to row 2, first stitch, knit 1 and make 1. So before I drop this loop, I will make another stitch by knitting through the back loop of the same stitch, like this. Here I just increased 1 stitch. Next, knit 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is the 14th stitch, and after 14th stitch there is a make 1. So again, without dropping the loop of the 14th stitch, I will make 1 stitch through the back loop of the same 14th stitch. This is a make 1 stitch. Next I have knit 1 and make 1. So without dropping this loop, again I will make a stitch. Next, knit 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and next is the 14th stitch, after which I have to make a stitch. So this is the 14th, and without dropping this loop, I will knit another stitch through its back loop. So this is my make 1 stitch. There are many other techniques to increase a stitch. You can use any one which is comfortable. Knit the last stitch. So the second row is over. Third row is knit all the stitches. Knit all the stitches that are there on your left hand needle. Going to row 4. Row 4, knit 2 and make 1. This is knit 1, knit 2, and to make 1 I will make in the same stitch back loop. Knit 14, 1, 2, the 14th stitch, and after 14 there is a make 1. So making a stitch from the same stitch but back loop. Then knit 3 and make 1. Knit 1, knit 2, knit 3 and make 1 in the same stitch. You can use any technique to increase a stitch. Just make sure you are not forming a hole there. Without making a whole stitch, you have to increase a stitch. Next, knit 14 and make 1. Knit 1, 2, 13, 14 and make 1. Then remaining 2 stitches, knit them. Row 5, knit all the stitches. In the wrong side, we will make only knit stitches. There is no increase. So complete round 5 by knitting all the stitches. Row 6, knit 3 and make 1. 1, 2, 3 and make 1. Next, knit 14 and make 1. 1, 2, 14 and make 1. Next, knit 5 and make 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and make 1. Next, knit 14 and make 1. 1, 2, 13, 14, make 1 and 3 stitches remaining, knit them. 1, 2 and 3. Row 7, knit all the stitches. Row 8, knit 4 and make 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 and make 1. Next, knit 14. 1, 2, 14 and make 1. Make 1. Knit 7 and make 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and make 1. Next, knit 14 and make 1. 1, 2, 13, 14 and make 1. Next, remaining 4 stitches, knit 1, 2, 3 and 4. Row 9, knit all the stitches. After completing row 9, you should have 47 stitches on your needle. We had started our work with 31 stitches, and at the end of row 9, you should have 47 stitches. Now, row 10 to row number 18, we are not increasing any stitch. We will just be making knit stitches on both the sides. That is, we will be following the simple garter stitch pattern. Complete row 10 to row 18, giving it a garter stitch pattern, and then we will give the shape of the foot. So row 10 to row 18 is done. Now we will start to shape the top part of the leg, the foot part. So again we will start from row 1, counting this as row 1, knit 19, 1, 2, 3, 18 and 19. Next, knit 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So after knitting these stitches, we are not knitting the stitches which are present on the left needle now. We are going to turn our work from here itself. Before that, we will make the SKP. SKP I have already shown in my previous videos. That is, S is slip, K is knit and P is pass over. We are passing the slip stitch over the knitted one. So this is the SKP. Next, turn from here itself, leaving all the stitches of the left hand needle. Now we will first slip this first stitch. Next we will purl 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Then purl 2 together. Purl 2 together. Again skip all these stitches on the left hand needle and turn from here itself. This is row 3 again. So first stitch is slip, knit 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now after you make 7 stitches, you can notice this was the stitch where we did the SKP in the first row. Now we will include this stitch along with one stitch from these remaining stitches that we already excluded in the previous row. We will take this one stitch, this is the slip stitch, and we will knit one stitch from these stitches. Again we are doing the SKP. S is the slip stitch I have already done. Then knit the next stitch and now pass over. Okay, SKP is done. Again leaving all the stitches behind, turn here itself. Now on the wrong side, slip 1, purl 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Again you can notice this was the purl 2 together stitch that can be identified by this gap here. So after making purl 7, you will make purl 2 together, including this stitch and one stitch from the remaining stitches. Now again turn from here itself, and you will be repeating these two rows, that is row 3 and row 4, again and again until you have only 31 stitches left on your knitting needle, and that includes the total stitches, not just this middle part. Totally you should have 31 stitches left. Remember, we had started our work with 31 stitches, so you will go on decreasing, making SKP on the right side and making purl 2 together on the wrong side until you have only 31 stitches left. So that will be the 16th row where you will finish. Until 16th row, continue making the same 2 rows, repeating the same 2 rows. So I'll meet at the end of 16th row. Completed 16 rows. Now you can see how it is taking the shape. And now I'm on the wrong side. I just completed the 16th row. Now I have 31 stitches. Now from here, I will turn to the right side. Turn to the right side and knit all the stitches. So this is the stitch where we did SKP. Just knit this one, and also you will be knitting all these stitches. Now we are not doing any SKP. This is the 17th row. Going to the 18th row. For row number 18, this is on the wrong side. Even here we will knit all the stitches. Complete the row by knitting all the stitches. Even here you have to knit, no slipping, just go on knitting. So we are almost done. Now we will be doing the ribbing part. Here I am keeping K1 P1 ribbing. Knit 1 and purl 1. Again knit 1 and purl 1. You will be making knit 1 and purl 1 ribbing for the entire row, and also you will continue to make K1 P1 ribbing for the next 12 rows. Remember, we had started the ribbing with knit stitch, that is knit 1 purl 1, and as we have odd number of stitches, we will even end with knit 1. So while going for the second row, you should start with purl 1. So for the second row, it will be purl 1 and knit 1. Purl 1 and knit 1. Purl 1 and knit 1. You will be just repeating row 1 and row 2 of the ribbing for the next 10 rows. We have already done one, we are doing the second. You will be repeating it for another 10 rows for a total of 12 rows. Continue making the ribbing. So 12 rows of ribbing is complete. Now we'll bind off using the stretchy bind off technique. So this is the right side. First stitch knit and second stitch was a purl, so I'll purl it. Now pass the first stitch over the second stitch. Now you can see the next stitch is knit, so take the yarn backwards and knit it. Now pass first stitch over the second. Now next stitch is purl, so purl it and pass over first stitch. Next is a knit stitch. By casting off this way, it will give a stretchy appearance and that will not hurt the leg of the baby. So this technique is used. It's just simple. You should knit the knits and purl the purls and then cast off normally. So continue to cast off using a stretchy bind off technique. So after you have completed casting of the stitches, leave a longer tail and cut the yarn. Now you should stitch the ends, turn it to the wrong side, and using a needle just stitch it together. Stitch the edges together. You can pick one stitch from here and one stitch from here and go on stitching both these together. So the stitching work is done. Now we'll flip it to the right side. You can see the socks is ready now. Prepare another in a similar way. And this is how you knit a socks for a baby.